So what we're looking at here is the data sheet for a relay. Data sheets are produced by the manufacturers to provide all of the technical information you need to know how to apply the component properly. So I want to walk through this just as a simple example. Some of the things that we typically look at are things, for example, like the contact rating here. So all the contact information is this kind of first part. And then they get into general data and coil data. So the contact information talks about the switching voltage here, the maximum switching current, contact resistance, and the life of the contacts. So in this case, we talked about this a little bit in the previous video. So the maximum voltage that we're switching and controlling is on the order of 250 volts AC or 125 volts DC at 2 amps. Contact resistance is typically very, very low. I think this is a typo on their data sheet. I've seen this before. I'm guessing that what that is not 100 million ohms, but 100 milliohms, which would probably be a more likely amount of resistance. When the contacts are engaged, the resistance is very low. And what's interesting here is both the electrical and mechanical life. It can operate at 1 × 10⁷ operations at 300 operations per minute. So even though it's an electromechanical device, it doesn't last forever, but that's a lot of contact switching that occurs. The dielectric strength here, what that means is the insulation between the coil and the contacts, which is the isolation. It says that value is about 1,000 volts AC for 1 minute between the coil and contacts, and 600 volts between the open contacts. So what this really basically saying is that you've got a lot of isolation voltage between those contact points. And if you're operating it within the regular operating range, there'd be no issue with that. Operate time is how long it takes once the coil is powered until the contacts close. It says maximum 6 milliseconds. The release time is 4 milliseconds. So it takes a little bit longer to engage that coil and bring that contact in compared to releasing it. What's important here is that that's very fast. I mean, for humans, it's fast. We very, very rarely do anything on the millisecond order. But for high-speed performance devices like microprocessors, microcontrollers, that's really very slow. So most of the applications with relays, for example, like turning on a traffic light or turning on an elevator motor or something like that, none of that is really high speed. You're not trying to do things very quickly. And that's one of the important kind of discussions with relays. They're not super fast, but they can use low-level signals to switch high-level signals, and they're safe. They have a safety kind of factor built into them.